and ministries. Now, what our colleagues who are calling for a boycott are in fact saying is that the MDC leaders, the MDC MPs, must not be part of this distributive and supervisory role at this crucial stage, at this critical stage in the life of our country. As a leadership, we cannot accept that. Yesterday, a group of 30 people converged at Morgan Tsvangirai House and purported to hold a national council meeting. They came out with some sort of communique that they've since published. Now, we must state that the National Council of the MDC is made up of 202 people. In terms of clause 9.5.1, the National Council is convened by the Secretary General under the supervision of the President. In terms of Article 9.3.1h of the Constitution, a National Council meeting is chaired by the National Chairperson of the party. In terms of Clause 6.4.2.6 of the Constitution, a National Council meeting can be held. But whenever you want to hold a National Council meeting, an emergency National Council meeting, the President must convene that meeting, not anybody else. Now, yesterday's meeting was convened by a member of staff called Mr. Farai Chinova. It was chaired by Honorable Murisi Zhizhai, who in the 2014 structures is the Secretary for Elections. As I have said, it had less than 30 people. It also had people like Honorable Miriam Mushai, Honorable Edwin Mshoriwa, who were Secretary General and Vice President, respectively, of the MDC led by Professor Walshman Nube in 2014. It had a lot of people who do not sit in the National Council, including some of our members of Parliament, like Honorable Dina and Honorable Banda. Therefore, looking at this attendance, this meeting cannot possibly be said to be a meeting of the National Council. But crucially, yesterday when I learned of this meeting, after consultation with the crucial leaders like the National Chairperson here, I wrote a letter cancelling that meeting because that meeting was not in accordance with the constitution of our party. It was not in accordance with the laws of the country. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, the COVID regulations proscribe meetings of more than a specified number of people. Now, this meeting was illegal, and therefore the resolutions coming out of it are of no moment to us. Since the meeting has no status, we are under no legal obligation to consider its resolution and its petitions. As the leadership of the MDC, we are committed to the unity of the party and to work with all progressive forces for the betterment of the lives of the Zimbabwean people. We are committed to bring about political stability in our country and remove the politics of hate, violence, rancor, acrimony, and replace them with the politics of rational disputation. It is critically important that the MDC goes back to its founding values. Those are the social democratic values of freedom, justice, equality, solidarity, constitutionalism, and respect of the rule of law. To this end, we would want to play our part as a party in crafting a national vision that sets Zimbabwe on a developmental trajectory. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our statement. But let me just, for the sake of completeness, read some of the resolutions of the National Council that was held on the 9th of May 2020. And I will read some of them. And resolution number 1. The party accepts and respects the judgment of the High Court and the Supreme Court in the MDC and others, and Elias Mashawira and others' case, and we will proceed to implement same faithfully and without fail. In that regard, the party will hold the extraordinary Congress as ordered by the court, where the members of the party will be given an opportunity to elect a leader of their choice in accordance with the constitution of the party. The other resolution is that in view of the fact that holding the Congress may be affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and the regulations made under it, we may see the date of the Congress being moved to another date. And as I said in the statement that I read, we will continue to work with the health authorities to find how effectively we can hold our Congress without offending the rules and the regulations. Number 4, the resolution say the party ratifies the recall of 4 members of parliament and resolves to recall any member of parliament who joins another political party or who commits an offense in terms of the constitution of the party that is dismissible. In this regard, all recalls will be done in terms of due process, following due process, and on a case-by-case basis. And the resolution, the other resolution says the party restates that all its elected deployees, like members of parliament and councillors, must be mindful of their duties to the electorate and must attend parliamentary and council business without fail. Any other actions will be regarded as an act of negligence. So those are some of the resolutions that were made by the National Council that was held on the 9th of March. And as you may know by now, ladies and gentlemen, this National Council was held virtually, and the resolutions of that National Council, the proceedings of that National Council were debated extensively in the private and the public media. I thank you. Now we can have questions, and I will distribute these questions among the panelists who are here. So we can have 3 questions. First. Silence means contentment. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just
you are from 263. Is it?
You have transferred to New Zimbabwe.
New Zimbabwe. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
So I just wanted to find out from you, given that a number of MPs are actually defying the MDCT, particularly that Supreme Court judgment, and continue to say precisely Nelson Chamisa remains our president, and you are saying those people who would have demonstrated such a character, you can then recall them, or they are automatically recalled. What is the position now? Because in my observations, a number of MPs who are still in Parliament, who haven't been recalled, they've clearly stated that they don't belong to MDCT.
Well, first of all, if I may take that question, first of all, as a matter of fact, the members of parliament within the Senate, a majority of senators are attending parliament. And the National Assembly, yes, we have a number of people who have not come. But there are a few considerations here. The first consideration, of course, is where MPs are openly defied. But as you may know, some of these MPs are being threatened. Some of them have been forced to sign affidavits to swear allegiance to a particular person. So in dealing with these members of parliament, we will look at their cases on a case-by-case, individual-by-individual basis. As I said, our first disposition is not to recall people. It is to consider their cases. There are some MPs, of course, who are doing unpardonable things, victimizing people, some councillors who are engaged in acts of violence and intimidation. Again, they will be looked at on a case-by-case basis. Yes.
Robert from SlyMedia. You said it's wrong for the other faction to say members of parliament should not attend parliament, but you went on to recall, giving the value to the fact that the government now is fighting the spread of coronavirus, and those MPs has to be there. Now you recall some of the members of the parliament at this very same time. Why did you do that, despite the fact that you said they've rejoined the other political party?
Well, if a member of parliament has ceased to belong to a political party world over, if they have ceased to belong to a political party, they cease to represent the electorate. They cease to represent the people who voted them on the basis that they belong to that party. And this is not the first time that it has happened. In 2015, President Morgan Tsvangirai recalled 21 members of parliament because they had formed a party at Mandela, the party we now know as the People's Democratic Party. Go to the United States, go to England. If you cease to belong to the Conservative Party, if you cease to belong to the Labour Party, you will be recalled. So this recall, and you must see that this recall was a controlled recall. We recalled 4 people. These 4 people were no ordinary MPs. These were leaders. These were people holding responsible positions and who should have known better. We had a national chairperson there. We had a national secretary general there. We had 2 chief whips there. These are people who ought to have known better. And these are people who will not have played any part in this COVID-19 crisis. These are people who will have urged a boycott of the parliament. And as I said, this is irresponsible.
Just a follow-up to that. The Supreme Court judgment reversed everything and set you back to 2014 structures. These members that were holding senior positions, were they not also affected by the same Supreme Court judgment? Is it being applied selectively? Because everyone, regardless of the position that someone had at that particular time, it was valid.
No. These members, the Supreme Court did not affect the membership of Parliament. They still remained members of Parliament who were members of the MDCT. As you know, in terms of the alliance agreement, the alliance had 7 partners. One of the partners was the Movement for Democratic Change, Tsvangirai. So whatever the Supreme Court ruled did not affect their membership as members of Parliament for the MDCT. Now, they committed offenses after the Supreme Court judgment. They committed offenses, and one of the offenses they committed was a public declaration that they were no longer members of the MDC that was formerly led by Tsvangirai. And if you go to the those who follow Twitter, Honorable Charlton Wende tweeted to that effect, that Tsvangirai's party they had nothing to do with Tsvangirai's party. But that's not correct. Tsvangirai's party is the party that sponsored them to go to the election under the banner of the MDC Alliance. The MDC Alliance, as we have said, is not a political party. It is a group of 7 political parties established in terms of the alliance agreement. So they specifically did misdemeanors that called for the actions that we took. But at any rate, they have taken their matter to court, and on the 29th, we will see whether we were right or we were wrong.
Just 2 more brief ones. My understanding is that as the legitimate leadership now is confirmed by the Supreme Court, you should have ideally occupied the Morgan Tsvangirai house. That hasn't happened. Why? Then my second question, which is the last one, is are you considering running for president for the coming extraordinary Congress?
Okay, one is personal, one is organizational. Do you want to? Okay. Well, first of all, and I want to answer this question on behalf of my two colleagues. And I want to say the fact that I'm sitting in the middle, it does not, should not give you ideas. It's because, as the Secretary General, I'm tasked with reading this statement. But I want to answer even on behalf of my two colleagues, Honorable Mzuri and Honorable Komich. We have been victims of serious cyber war and cyber bullying, where we have woken up to see posters purporting to be coming from us, being strewn all over. In fact, in a space of 2 days, there was a poster purporting to be a campaign poster for myself, and then within the space of 24 hours, I think, 2 posters were then strewn again, purporting to be coming from Honorable Mzuri, Honorable Komich. One interesting thing about these 2 posters was that they did the same spelling mistakes. They did the same mistakes, same colors, same everything, showing that they were coming from the same printer. And they were very shoddy. And I can tell you that Honorable Mzuri here is a strict to detail and so on. And he would not have allowed that poster to come out. Honorable Komich is such a strategic man that he would not have allowed that poster to come before nominations. Now, the leadership in the MDC is not conferred by the individual to himself. So it's not a matter of whether you want to be president or you don't, or you want to be Secretary General. It is the people through a legal process provided in the Constitution who nominate leaders. Leaders start to have a say in the process the moment they are nominated. So when they are nominated, they then make their mind to see whether they can accept the nomination or not. But I want to assure Zimbabweans and our members that as leaders, we are going to be very responsible when it comes to that development. In all probability, we are going to field one candidate, in all probability. But as you can see, MDC is full of people with talent. It's full of leaders. Any other question? Yes, sir.
Senator, after all this MDC drama, you just try to engage Advocate Nelson Chamisa to solve your issue in us.
Yes. Yeah, I was tasked to phone most of the senior leaders. I've been phoning most of the senior leaders, including Advocate Nelson Chamisa. We're expecting to dialogue, if he wants to dialogue, but he hasn't been forthcoming, and I've taken the initiative to phone. I don't know what he's thinking. He said he might come back to me, but he has not yet.
Another? Yes.
There have been also some reports, probably this is the opportunity to state the real position, that there are squabbles amongst yourselves, not looking at the other faction that involves the acting president, Mr. Kozanikupe. So how far true is this?
No, thank you so much. It is not true. Actually, we've been holding meetings with the acting president. It's on record. Even the day we had our National Council on the 9th, it was actually organized by the acting president. and we've held a lot of meetings with them. So there are no squabbles at all. People are just speculating. This team that is in the pro-Supreme Court judgment is very much united. Our objective is very simple. We want to make sure that it was based on Congress, so that we elect the new leader who will replace the late Morgan Changirai. So we don't want to be diverted by any other allegations, but it's of course the other people that are anti-Supreme judgment. So these are the people that are using social media to raise issues or to try to blackmail us. But we are very clear, we won't be disturbed by that.
Yes.
Lastly, I'll take you back a bit. We have read also that you, at some point, you requested security from the state, particularly to occupy the Morgan Changirai house.
That again was an act of, it was not true. It was not true. What happened on the day that I think you are referring to is that we got information that some of the leaders who had lost leadership as a result of the Supreme Court judgment were stripping the Harvest House of equipment. Computers were being taken away, furniture was being taken away. We know now that some of the furniture, some of the computer equipment and the accessories are at a house in Highfield, belonging to one of the councillors. We also know that some of the furniture from the 6th floor, which is the Secretary General's office, was taken, and I think it is at a house in Madokero. So when that theft was happening, when that pilferage was happening, our staff then went to the police to try to stop the theft. That is when the police went that evening to Harvest House. It was not to ask them for us to enter into Harvest House. We are going to occupy our premises. We are going to occupy our headquarters. It is a question of time. And our colleagues who are holding onto that property know that we are going to occupy our property. But we will always act in a lawful, constitutional manner. And we will always act in a responsible manner. We know and we realized as a leadership that there were 30 youngsters who were kept in the premises during the COVID time. They had no protection, and they were just put there as a vanguard. And that was irresponsible. It was endangering the lives of those youngsters and endangering the lives of the public as well. And we also knew that they were armed with all manner of crude weapons. We do not want bloodletting at all. We do not want violence. We do not want the use of these youngsters as cannon fodder in a political battle. And we are going to occupy our premises. As you can see, this is a measured leadership. This is a responsible leadership. And we are going to take those steps necessary to occupy our citadel.
Actually, to add to what he's saying, we wouldn't want to see any victim over this transition into a smooth transition from power from Morgan Changirai to the next leader. We want to leave a better legacy, a legacy where the first leader has been replaced by the next leader in a manner that shows that we followed our constitution. We also don't want scenarios where, as you know, people have been beaten at Harvest House, including Mangoma was beaten in the last time. People were beaten at Changirai's funeral. We don't want that to happen. And if you get sick right now with this COVID, you can't get to a hospital. It's not easy to get into a hospital. So there is no need for people to go and push emotions. What we expect is reasonableness, because if you listen to the conversations of those who are arguing that this judgment is not for them, it's for the MDCT, they were saying they are prepared to leave the premises. So, but they are not leaving the premises. So we don't need to get into a side fight over premises. It's written in our constitution that MDC Changrai, displaced harvesters. And you have to go once since the courts have already said that is the place where MDC Changrai's party belongs. Then we can invite others. And as you know, all this time, all the other parties who had gone away, they had to come back to meet the Morgan Changrai team at Harvester. So we must remain focused on the party. What we should also not focus on is mere side views of personalities. This is not about personalities. This is about a legacy and constitutionalism and respect of even the downtrodden. For instance, the man who challenged the whole process is from Gokwe. Never mind the minds behind it. But we must respect him if a court gives him a judgment. Now, if we can't accept such judgment, what will we do if we take over government and someone poor is given a judgment to say pay him so much money, and you say that one is too poor or that one we don't care about him, we are like this. We should recognize that when we get judgment, especially when they are requested by the downtrodden or the lower levels of our structures or the lower levels of our communities, we must respect them. What we only pray for is a unity of purpose. All leaders coming together and helping us to ensure that sanity prevails. There is no violence. And there should be reduced violence in cyberspace. And we also appeal to the press to be constructive in whatever we are doing, because it is the only opportunity that makes us re-introspect, look at ourselves and say, are we doing the best? I think this is a prayerful nation, but if you pray and do wrong all the time, it's not the best. Politics is not about doing good all the time, but people expect a different culture from impunity, which we are always practicing in some of the political organizations, and attacking each other without no good reason.
Any other burning question? Yes, and that will be the last question.
Are you planning to record the senators?
Yes. Once of course we have recalled people, we will replace them. So we are going to replace Senator Tim Vias. We are going to replace Honorable Tabitha Kumalo, and we will invite Zek to do that. This will be done after we have done the necessary consultations. And let me also say that we are prepared to go for by-elections, and this we need to make it clear that you cannot commit these offenses because you are a constituency MP. That will not give immunity at all. So we are prepared for by-elections, and we will win. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.